Hello, everyone. Welcome back to an episode of Just Say Guay. I'm your host, George Guay. Today, I'm joined by my good friends, James Lesniak and Connor McStay, or we call them the NFL Insiders of Guzman Third Floor. Guys, it's good to be back with you guys. I know it's a different sport, but should be a good show.
Good to see you, Georgie. Thanks for having us back.
Thanks, Georgie.
Yeah, so I got to ask, coming into this season, what did you like about your team, what they did in the offseason, and what didn't you like?
James, I'll let you kick this one off.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Connor. So coming to the season, I have high aspiration, as any Philadelphia Eagles fan does. The bar is here. We always tend to fall below the bar, but the Super Bowl or bust every year for the Birds. So coming into the season, Carson Wentz was coming back from an injury, obviously. What's new? He had a concussion, knocked out. The draft was kind of questionable. I don't think there's such a thing as a top 10 quarterback. Our cornerback, excuse me. I just think that they're all system guys. So Darius Slay, he's played decently well, I guess. I haven't seen much out of him. But coming into the season with those acquisitions, I thought, we were a shoo-in for the NFC East, obviously. Obviously 0-2 now, but, coming in, my hopes were at least an 11-win season.
All right, so I'll go because I think the Patriots were involved in the biggest move of the offseason, which was Tom Brady walking away from a 2-decade dynasty with the Patriots. Obviously, I think he had nothing left in the tank with the Patriots. I'm not mad that he left. It's how it ended that I'm upset with. I'll get into that later, but you guys could ask people around campus and on my stories. I knew Tom Brady was gone the day after they lost to the Titans. I had him going to the Titans because of Mike Vrabel. The great offense would take pressure off of him with Derrick Henry. And I think if Ryan Tannehill can get into the AFC title game, why not Tom Brady? And an engaged Tom Brady. And people at school even thought I was a bad person for moving on from him so early, but I just saw it coming. So, obviously, it was a bad ending. The last year, he really wasn't engaged at all. In my opinion, I think that, not going to OTAs and not giving these receivers a shot was not a good look. And, I thought – what's going on in the background?
Sorry, man.
What's going on in the background? I'll let it out.
Is it Connor or is it me?
Oh. So
I thought it was from behind me, bro.
I'm not mad that we lost him. Tampa, actually, yes, I am, because I think Tampa is a horrible sports town. He was so valuable on his brand and the TB12 method. It is a shitty place to build your brand. Should have went to LA. And also, I didn't like really how he threw his family under the bus, because when you look at Tom Brady, the last few years, he says, I am missing family time. And he missed the OTAs because of family time. And his family's moving to Connecticut and New York. Connor, you probably know the area better than me, where they're probably going to live. But it was just all one big lie. And the thing that I find horrible, and you guys aren't Red Sox fans, but typically when the Patriots won the Super Bowl, the Red Sox were on a run too, or they're very good, and they would have Tom Brady throw out the first pitch at Fenway Park. And you're telling me that if he wins a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay, he's going to walk out onto Tropicana Field in a Devil Rays jersey with half a stadium full of old people who don't know the game of baseball, and you're expecting me to get happy about that? I think he should have just retired at the end of last season after the Super Bowl. Obviously, the draft, they definitely addressed their needs at tight end. I'm really mad they drafted a kicker in the 5th round who can't even make the roster. They could have just signed him at the end of the season. And I'm going to be really upset because this jersey cost me $100 for someone who can't even make it onto the field, Jared Stidham. And they really pumped his tires, and then they signed Cam Newton. One thing that I do like about the Patriots, though, is that Cam Newton is playing really well, and he's done more with this receiving core than Brady did all last year with that receiving core. But I still would take an engaged Tom Brady 100 times out of 100. I say we go 10-6 this season.
Am I up?
Yep.
Going into this year, I had very mixed emotions about the Jets, obviously. I thought our new GM, Joe Douglas, crushed the draft. He got, he addressed all of our needs. He got what might end up being the best player in the draft, Mekhi Becton, at least for the first 2 weeks of the year. He's been phenomenal. And he, along with Braden Mann, who was the punter that we drafted in the 6th round, have been our only good players. I did not expect the Jets to have a good record this year. We have the second hardest schedule in the league after the Patriots. The one gripe that I had with Joe Douglas in regards to the offseason is wide receivers. Look at every other young quarterback in the league. You got Baker, like Drew Lock, Kyler, Justin Herbert, any other young quarterback, they've got help at wide receiver. They've got help in front of them in terms of blocking. Sam Darnold is going into his 3rd year this year. He hasn't had a single receiver worth his salt thus far. He hasn't had a single coach worth anything. He hasn't had a single offensive lineman until this year worth anything. The kid is out there playing by himself. He gets a whole bunch of I don't want to cuss on this show, but everyone gives the kid a hard time about not being everything he was hyped up to be. Sam Darnold, I know he should be better, but the kid shows flashes of absolute brilliance, and he's just not put in a position of success week after week. He's going into, I guess, what will this be, his 34th week in the NFL? Something like that. And he hasn't had a receiver to throw the ball to. The Jets, for years, have not had a competent front office. They haven't had competent owners, and the offseason reflects that. I didn't expect much from them. I expected them to compete in games, and the moment that I realized that's not going to happen at all this year for us is this past week when we played the absolute JV team in the 49ers and essentially lost by 25 points. Darnold threw, he escaped the pocket within the last 2 minutes, threw a garbage time touchdown. But, I guess we'll get into it a little bit later, but I'm thinking that there's a chance we don't win a single game this year. I keep looking over the Jets schedule. I can't find a win in there. The only win I find is our classic divisional split with Miami every year. It's depressing. It's not promising. And the person I feel most for is Sam Darnold, because time is, the clock is ticking on his rookie contract, and they haven't really done anything to help ourselves. And the offseason reflects that, hasn't had help at wide receiver his entire career. And we draft one receiver, teams like the Broncos, they draft Jerry Jeudy. They drafted, who's the other kid? The Penn State guy, right?
I know who you're talking about. He's like the 5'10" guy. Yeah. I know who you're talking about. I forget where he went.
Yeah. But
Broncos, Raiders, exactly. Whoever that Penn State guy went to, I agree. Yeah, they picked
the Raiders. The Raiders drafted Ruggs and that guy Brian Edwards from South Carolina for Derek Carr. I really don't understand, but I didn't expect much from the Jets this year, and I will not expect much from them the rest of the year. Basically any game we keep close is a bonus in my mind at this point.
So Connor, I agree that they're not putting the right talent around Sam Darnold, and I've watched a few of his games, and I agree there's definitely the flashes there. Do you think if it was a normal off season with all this young pieces that maybe it could have been a better start?
100%. The Jets are just, they're a magnet of bad luck. We've had a absolute slew of injuries already. Sam's favorite target, Jamison Crowder, played week 1, and now he's hurt. He didn't play week 2. He's doubtful to play this week. In my opinion, he's one of the best slot receivers in the league. He's really, really good. He was projected to have, 90-plus catches this year, and now he's just missing games left and right. Chris Herndon, who was an absolute stud his rookie year, didn't really play last year because of injuries and other things, is now not being utilized at all for some reason.
Your coach is trash, Connor.
Yeah, I'm saving that for another segment. But yeah, I mean, it's just tough to watch at this point that you got such a talented kid that it's clear to see the kid has talent, but he, like any other kid who's playing in the NFL, Sam Darnold, people forget, is still the second youngest starting quarterback in the NFL. Joe Burrow, who is a rookie, is older than Sam Darnold. And Sam's going into his third season, which is by no means any excuse, but give the kid some help, give him some coaching, give him some blocking, give him some weapons to throw to. I mean, we literally at one point in the game last week, we had 2 active wide receivers, and one of them was a rookie practice squad player. I just don't know how you expect a kid to succeed in a setting like that.
So a receiver I want to ask you about, I know he hasn't really lived up to his potential, but he's someone, and the Bengals are trying to get rid of that contract. Would A.J. Green interest you for the Jets?
I've been interested in A.J. Green for a while. I think he's 100% worth a flyer. Why not? I mean, he's better than what we got right now. At the minute, I mean, literally at one point last week we had, and you guys might not even know either his names, but our 2 active receivers for a one drive in the third quarter last week was Braxton Berrios and Josh Malone.
Yeah, they got to give him more talent.
Josh Malone is a rookie who did not make the active roster after preseason, and Braxton Berrios is a punt returner. So I'm not sure who he's supposed to throw to.
Yeah. So one thing I want to ask you guys.
I would take A.J. Green in a heartbeat.
Oh, for sure. What do you got to lose? So, and A.J. Green's a proven veteran. So, I mean, he's not consistent Pro Bowler like everyone thought that he would be. But so, like you said, the injuries bit the Jets in the ass, even bit the 49ers in the ass when they lost Joey Bosa. What were your thoughts about these injuries? Do you think all last week, Saquon going down, Garoppolo even going down, Christian McCaffrey, you think it was all just coincidence, or do you think that the fact that these guys just didn't have the preseason games, even as meaningless that they are, they didn't have a full camp, they didn't have the preseason games to get their bodies used to the hits? Do you think it's a factor, or do you think it's just all coincidence?
No, I definitely think that played into it a lot. Like, you're always in shape if you do OTAs, and if you run around a little bit, but game shape is a different thing. And these guys didn't have those reps. And I think it's showing. Also, a lot of new turf too. Like, these guys haven't been on the turf practicing on the fields. They call it the fast turf. But when you're not really playing in these games, you can't really mimic a game scenario where you're cutting, like when you got to get past a blocker like Joey Bosa. You can't mimic it. So I think we might see it even a little bit more coming into the next season, because these guys are playing full games, whereas in preseason they play, however many snaps.
Like 20, 40%, and 70%, then they go to the games, and they didn't have any.
No, so they're snapping ACLs like Graham Munson up there. Like, these guys have not had the time to really get into game shape.
I have a completely opposite take from that. My personal opinion is that you don't get more hurt from playing less football. Football is maybe one of the most dangerous sports that you can possibly play on the planet. I think you don't get more hurt from playing less football. Like, as someone who has torn their ACL, and as I'm sure our good friend and friend of the show, Graham Munson, could relate to, it's not something that any sort of conditioning, obviously there's extreme levels to this, but any normal person, any level of conditioning, there's not really anything you can do to really prevent that kind of thing. And I do believe that it's just kind of a coincidence that, I mean, if preseason played a real factor in it, why didn't it happen in week 1? If it was really true, like, oh, well, they didn't have enough practice, they didn't kind of get that warm up, it would have happened week 1. There's no reason why it would have happened in week 2. And especially, what if it had happened to 7 special teams players instead of like the big names, like Nick Bosa, Saquon Barkley, Solomon Thomas, Jimmy Garoppolo. Obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo didn't tear his ACL, but I don't know. I'm of the opinion that you don't get more hurt by playing less football. I mean, the more you can stay off
but
that field at game speed, the safer you're going to be. In my
you
opinion.
don't. The special teams players could have torn ACLs, but that shit don't make front page news. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
No one cares about it. Those guys are signed from the practice squad. They could have torn there could have been 20 torn ACLs last week, and you would have.
Yeah, the name's part of it. I agree with that.
You still would have heard about the number though.
But the biggest name in football, and one of at running back, probably one of the biggest faces of the game, and could be the face of the league, maybe at one point in time. Tore his knee up. Arguably one of the future biggest names on the defensive side tore his knee up.
Guess what, though, George? Saquon will never be the same.
You think so?
No, he's done, bro. He tore his ACL. He's
especially
done.
Nowadays, a running back with all the wear and tear you take, you tear that ACL, especially with Saquon's style of play. His whole thing is
He'll never be the same.
I really can't see him getting back to his old form. It's so tough.
Yeah, I was really bummed out. It's such a great player and a great guy, but also, I'm not going to lie, I picked him in fantasy football, but I'm still going to win it. This isn't going to get in the way.
You're done, bro.
I'm not done. I'm gonna find a way.
Side note here. I was making fun of my Giants friends because before the season, I predicted that Miles Sanders would have a better year than Saquon Barkley.
And he will.
I'm right. Hate to say it, but I'm right.
Yeah, it's
baby.
Yeah, but you know what? But I got a question about with Saquon. Should the Giants tank for a pick now?
Yes.
Who would they pick though?
I mean, they're not going to pick Trevor Lawrence, but the second pick is supposed to be the one of the tackles out of Oregon. I mean, they could use another tackle.
I've already claimed him for the Jets.
Okay, so he's not going to the Giants.
I've claimed what's his name, Pensy Sewell, and then Jamar Chase are reserved for the Jets. The Giants can have anyone else they want. I'm already expecting the Jets to be the number one overall pick because I generally don't expect us to win an entire game the whole year. And I think it can be the best thing that ever happened to us. We're going to be able to trade for an absolute king's ransom of picks. Probably trade out of 1 to 4 or 5 something. I hope that.
Connor, the thing is here, like you're thinking logically, and the Jets management does not do that, so they will fuck it up.
I know, but we got our new GM Joe Douglas. I've been
Connor. Who's the other guy besides Penny?
Jamar Chase, the wide receiver from LSU.
Okay, what about
he was Joe Burrow's number 1 target last year, and he wasn't eligible to come out for the draft, but he's projected to be a top 5 pick this year. He's a very dynamic wide receiver. He's someone that I know for the fact would be an addition to Sam Darnold's talent pool.
I don't disagree. Maybe the Giants will go with Patrick Surtain from Alabama, the number 1 ranked cornerback, because that defense gets torched.
The Giants' defense is pretty bad.
Yeah, so one thing I don't like about the Patriots is what they did a few years ago, and this doesn't – I mean, they do it this year, but they picked Sony Michel and Isaiah Wynn. This is 2 drafts ago when Lamar Jackson got picked. So I'm against picking running backs in the first round unless it is a Saquon Barkley or an Ezekiel Elliott, like in the top 5, Christian McCaffrey even. But, like, in the Super Bowl last season, the 2 running backs on that team that led their teams in yards weren't drafted. Do you really need to pick a running back in the first round, especially Sony Michel, who blows and can't get yards in front of – he only gets yards in front of him.
No, I think
but no, they didn't need a running back, and they picked a –
if he ain't going all the way, you heard it from him first.
The Patriots picked an offensive lineman whose legs are made out of connects, and he can't get on the field. And you know who they could have picked in that draft? They could have picked Lamar Jackson and Calvin Ridley, 2 playmakers. Who knows? Maybe Brady's still here.
Yeah, hindsight's 2020, George.
I know, but it's just like
hindsight is 2020, bro.
And why did we pick a kicker in the 5th round who's supporting the one percenters of the government and protect the Second Amendment. You guys don't know who I'm talking about.
The Patriot way, Georgie.
He had this tattoo that
Oh, I did see that.
We don't need to give him attention.
he cried when he had to get it removed. He said he let the team down. And he said he didn't know what it meant. Yes, you get a tattoo on your bicep, you know what it means. So, yeah. But I just think that's what frustrates me about the Patriots. And the only worry I have is the defense because no Hightower, no Jamie Collins, no Landon Roberts, no Kyle Van Noy. And I'm worried that – so Cam Newton's having the great success. And there are a lot of players that aren't even making it onto the field at quarterback that are making more than him, like Andy Dalton, Marcus Mariota. What if he gets carried away and wants the money and Belichick says, let's wait till the offseason, and what if he just decides to give it in and not give it his all? That's what I worry about with Cam Newton is that he'll want the money at some point.
You guys going to re-sign him? You got the bet right now.
At the rate he's playing at, yes.
I think you
Stidham.
will too.
Stidham.
No, dude. I think the Pats revive Cam's career. As much as I hate to say it, I think Cam comes back and is in. I'm not going to say MVP form again, but
No, he won't be.
I think he is going to be a serviceable quarterback for another number of years.
Dude, I mean, think about it though. That Pats offense, like I could be quarterback in it and probably be like a top 5 in the league. Like all you gotta do is throw 4-yard screen passes, and the little white guy just runs for fucking 50 yards.
So I gotta say, it's like I said, he's done more with this offense than Brady did in one game, and he had 3 weeks to prepare before camp. Really didn't work with many of the receivers in the offseason, but my dream to stick it to Brady, even though he gave us the best times, would be if Cam Newton walks out and we bring in Matt Stafford and the Patriots go 12-4. I think that would really show the world Belichick is.
How are you expecting to get Matt Stafford?
Because I think they're gonna get the number 1 pick, and I think they're gonna pick Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, I think Matt Patricia's a horrible coach, and they'll fire him. But it's like there's a lot of examples of guys who walked out on Belichick thinking they could coach and they couldn't. Bill O'Brien, Eric Mangini.
The Manginius was good, dude.
Jeez.
Okay, but Josh McDaniels went to Denver. That was a disaster. He had to come back. But I'm saying, Matt Patricia's another example of guys who walk away from Belichick and think they can coach really well, and they don't. But I think Stafford's done.
Of recent memory, the only one who seems to be, not that they've had any kind of real success, but Brian Flores in Miami seems like he's kind of building something that has the makings of might have some success.
Yeah, I don't think it's time enough to give up on what he's done because he's only been there 2 years, and what he's building is success.
They're not winning that many games, but yeah, they seem like they could be okay in long term.
They're going in the right direction. Before Lions, opposite direction. So I want to ask your thoughts because this was something that was a topic in the NFL in the offseason. And my freshman year roommate, James Caruso, this is his favorite football team, the Washington football team. What do you think is going to happen with the name? What do you like so far? And are you already accustomed to hearing that name?
Yeah, I think they should keep the name forever. I think it's awesome, to be honest. I think it's – I have – like – the Washington football team, like it just sounds like look at them. They're playing better than they have in years this season. Like I don't know. Obviously it's not that catchy, it's not that creative, but the Washington football – imagine if the Washington football team was good. That sounds like a team that you don't want to play next week. You got to come up against the Washington football team. They come out in that maroon and gold. Let's say it's week 12, week 13. You're beaten, you're bruised, you're fighting for a playoff spot, and you see the Washington football team on your schedule. I don't want to see that.
No, the funny thing I think about it is kind of like a meme. Like it's like,
Yeah.
oh, like the Eagles lost this fucking team, first of all. So like after week 1, I was like, bro, we fucking lost to a team that's called the football team. I just think it's kind of hilarious. If they keep that for more than one season, like I would be ecstatic. It's such a funny name. I think they'll change it to probably some dumb shit, but I do like kind of the logo in the jerseys they have on right now, to be honest. But other than that, I didn't give it much thought.
Barstool's making
I'm
shirts.
telling you, dude.
Barstool's just selling shirts that say football team on it. So I gotta say this.
You don't even know who you're playing, dude. You're saying we're playing the football team. Like what?
So I'm just gonna say this. People need to get one thing in their head about this team, or two things. Dan Snyder did not change the team because he thought of the Redskins was a horrible team. It's because they threatened to pull the sponsorship. He does not care if
every NFL owner does everything for the bottom line.
Yeah, money. And he didn't care if it was offensive. Come on.
No, you heard his comments before. He said, as long as I'm owner, like this is like 5 years ago, he goes, as long as I'm owner, they're going to be the Redskins. Like he didn't give a shit.
So, and I got to say, they should keep it to the football team because I'm going to say this. Washington, D.C. does not have any exciting names because of, it's a government city, right? It's
Exactly.
It's Boston, you got the Celtics because the Irish culture, Patriots because of the history with the war. Philadelphia, you got the Eagles and the 76ers because of the history. You know what I'm saying? Some teams it just rings in that city. And what are you going to call them? The Washington Monuments or the Washington Generals? It doesn't even sound funny. I think they should
the
call
Washington Monuments is pretty cool. You might be onto something here.
I do like that one.
No. I think because of who's in the buildings, they should call them the Washington Snakes.
That is Washington
a good
Swamp.
take.
Call them the Snakes because the government is just full of them. But yeah, obviously one thing I love is that it seems like Dwayne Haskins does have a shot. I'm not saying he's going to be great, but he's shown flashes. Chase Young's going to be a beast. Ohio State really is pass rush university and 2.5 sacks for the first few games. And yes, it is pass rush university, the Bosa brothers, Chase Young. They even have the number 1 recruit coming in at defensive end. I think that he's going to be a beast. I'm not saying he's J.J. Watt or Aaron Donald, but I think he could get on that level one day.
He's pretty good.
He's he's got the look of being a real beast. He plays like a real beast. Like he's just one of those guys. Every now and then it comes along. You're like, wow, that guy's gonna be good. Like,
yeah, he's on the football team.
He's got the swag. He plays for the football team. He's a big, tall dude. He's strong. He's quick. He's
Also,
one of those guys. Like Chase Young is going to be a dementor of the NFC East for the next decade or more.
That's a scary front four is what I was going to say. Like they had Ryan Kerrigan too, and they have Chase Young. So that shit is like I got to play him twice a year. They crush us week 1 like bad. I think Carson got sacked 8 times. So I don't know who plays between them two, but they're going to be good for a few years.
Yeah, and they're going to double team him or even triple team him, maybe, and guys are just going to get open. It's who knows if they add another great pass rusher. So, what were some of your surprises? If you have one surprise in this whole off season and what you're seeing now across the NFL, it doesn't have to be your team. What shocked you?
Something that shocked me is the absolute incompetence of that googly-eyed freak Adam Gase. This guy, and you know who is I really fault for this is Peyton Manning. I've stood up for Peyton Manning his entire career. I went to bat for him saying that he was a more talented quarterback than Brady. Peyton Manning goes to bat.
I think he was.
The Jets, saying that Adam Gase is a brilliant offensive mind. And I cannot for the life of me figure out what ounce of Peyton Manning's brain is thinking that Adam Gase is a brilliant mind in any regard. The only brilliant thing to come out of Adam Gase is his son that can do a Rubik's Cube in the equivalent of time that it takes to make 4 NFL draft picks. Adam Gase is the most incompetent loser that has ever stepped foot anywhere inside the NFL in any capacity. This guy, Mike Greenberg said it best. Mike Greenberg has grandchildren who are about to start playing pee-wee football. He would not hire Adam Gase to coach that team. A team of 6-year-olds who don't know which direction is forward. They don't know the right from left. They don't know how to tie their own shoes. Adam Gase could not tie a 6-year-old shoe if they asked him to. This guy gives up. Not that he's a defensive guy. How are you allowed to allow your team and not have any repercussions? The Jets had they got the 49ers to 3rd and 31, and they give up a 55-yard run. How does that happen? The Jets, on multiple occasions, have a 3rd down and long, and they throw a screen pass to a wide receiver who is not good. No dynamic wide receiver behind the line of scrimmage. Sam Darnold's average yards per attempt last week was 5.9. How are you supposed to let this kid develop if you're making him throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage to nobody? To absolutely nobody. Let the kid throw the ball down the goddamn field if you want him to get good. If you want the kid to get good and to develop and to become a serviceable NFL quarterback, which is what I want, which is what I know he can be, get Adam Gase out of town right now. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. There was a protest today at the Jets facility. It was a Fire Adam Gase protest. There was members of every other NFL team there as well in a opposition protest to not fire Adam Gase because he is so unbelievably bad at his job and incompetent to the point that people all around the league are begging for him to keep his job in Florham Park.
Bring back Rex.
They know whenever they get a chance to play the Jets, it's a guaranteed win. Why would you not want Adam Gase to keep his job? The Jets have had several veteran players on both sides of the ball step up and say, we're not practicing to win games. We're practicing sloppy. There's no accountability. Nobody is playing like they want to win. And Adam Gase comes out yesterday and says, oh, I haven't seen that. At what point do you have some sense of self-awareness and say, listen, I've got Avery Williamson. I've got Bradley McDougald, who is the starter that we traded for in the Jamal Adams trade. He's a good player. They both come out and say, we're not practicing like a team that wants to win a football game right here. And he just denies. How can you deny that? Have some self-awareness. Have a little bit of accountability, an ounce, just a little bit. Realize I'm not utilizing my playmakers in a way that makes them, play to the best of their ability. You've seen the Chiefs. You've seen these other dynamic offenses, the Ravens, the Cowboys. They play to the strengths of the players that they have. They utilize them. They move them around. They keep defenses thinking. Adam Gase is first down, run up the middle with 37-year-old Frank Gore. Run up the middle with 37-year-old Frank Gore. Screen pass to Braxton Berrios, 3rd and 9, behind the line of scrimmage, 4th and 7, punt. Adam Gase has, I think the stat is we've had he's played 90-something quarters of football with the Jets, and he has punted upwards of 40 times. That is unacceptable. And my God, I am so happy Joe Douglas drafted a punter this year. At least we can boom the ball down the field. But, the amount of incompetence this guy has is unbelievable. I've seen some bad Jets teams to my days. But, man, this is something new. And I know I just went on a really long rant, but
it was awesome.
This guy needs to, I don't even know what to say at this point. It's embarrassing. Not that it hasn't been embarrassing to be a Jets fan, this entire year. And I genuinely thought this year would be better. Quinnen Williams coming off, he had a good game last week, 2 sacks. We got Sam Darnold going into his 3rd year. He's comfortable in the offense, supposedly. We've got Le'Veon Bell. He says he's in the best shape of his life. And the guy can't call plays. The guy straight and plain and simple can't call plays. And he refuses to bring in a quarterback coach for Sam. He's got his little hobbit that follows him around with the challenge flag. I don't know if you guys know that, but the offensive coordinator for the New York Jets is a guy by the name of Dowell Loggins. And he's about 5'6", probably 220, 230, a little round guy. And the only thing he did last year as an offensive coordinator is throw the challenge flag twice. He doesn't call plays. He's not a quarterback's coach. Never played in college or the NFL. And Adam Gase keeps the guy around supposedly because he's good for Sam Darnold. I haven't seen it. I hope he proves me wrong, but, a tip to Jets ownership, if you guys want to win, get this guy out of town. I know the Johnson & Johnson is supposedly the closest to getting the coronavirus vaccine, which is obviously great news. But as a Jets fan, I'd rather see coronavirus exist for the rest of eternity than see Adam Gase coach one more game for the New York Jets.
That's a flaming take. I agree with you, though. I've always thought Peyton Manning was more talented than Tom Brady. It's just the mental and
Peyton has lost my respect forever after he endorsed Adam Gase.
And you have the right to feel that way. I'm saying I think Peyton didn't have the intangibles that Brady had, those fourth quarter game winning drives. Manning always shat his pants in Gillette Stadium. But anyway, so what I'm surprised by, and I didn't even know that the Jets had that protest, and they should, rightfully so. But when it's that bad, the owner should just get rid of them. But Rob Gronkowski sucks right now.
Yeah, that's shocking.
It's like –
Is that shocking though? Like, was the proof not there his last couple of years?
I did not.
Okay, I expected him to not be elite.
But did you hear what Bruce Arians said? He was just like, "Oh, we're not going to go out of our way to throw to him," or something like that.
Dude, Bruce Arians is throwing them under the bus. He's not taking credibility.
But my thoughts on that is, you bring Rob Gronkowski, who is supposedly, he's 100% up there with possibly the best tight end of NFL history.
I think
he
is.
Up there with the Tony Gonzalez's of the world, that kind of thing.
No.
Why would you not? If you're bringing him back, you obviously are bringing him back for a reason, right? If you bring him back, why are you not going out of your way to game plan around him? What, you're going to bring Rob Gronkowski back to block for you? That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Bro, that's what he's good for. He's so washed.
No, he's a great blocker, Connor, but it's like, no, it's just I didn't expect him to be.
I don't expect – I agree, Jim. He's not as good. He's not even half of what he used to be probably. But why bring him back then if you're not going to use him?
Because Brady wanted him back. That's why.
But you can get another guy who can block for him.
No, but I'm saying I expected him not to be himself, but I expected him to be decent, right? And the pressure's not on him like it was in New England when it was just him and Jules to run the offense. It was – now they have Evans.
But these guys are smart. They should have known that coming in.
No, but I'm saying I'm saying in Tampa they're not – because there's so many offensive weapons, I felt him coming back, that was the right team because the pressure wouldn't be as much as because there's just so many more weapons. And, the reason why he didn't come back to New England, he had the opportunity is because he was done with Belichick. He cried and said, football was bringing me down and I didn't like it. But really he meant Bill was bringing me down and I didn't like it because he still likes football. Clearly he wasn't ready because he was making too many TikToks in the offseason with Camille Kostick. We know that was happening.
Are we complaining about Camille Kostick TikToks now?
No, but I'm just saying he was doing that and he was not on the field. Obviously in that year off, didn't they say he lost like 30 to 40 pounds? And, I just got to ask because it seemed like in his year off, like, how Dante Hightower's taking a year off. He's definitely still working out and getting ready for next year. Maybe not as intense right now, but Gronk was living his best life in that off season. And who knows?
He's retired.
It's like I'm saying, when did he say I'm fully committed to playing football again? Maybe it was too hard to come back from.
It was probably when his daddy, Tom Brady, sent him a text on a late Tuesday night after a couple glasses of rosé saying, Hey, Robbie,
going to Tampa.
Back, man.
He said, come block for me, please.
Come block for
$5 million a year.
Let's go hang out in Florida for a couple years at the old person's home. And make
Yeah.
a couple bucks, and then we'll go back up to New England and hang out in the Cape for the rest of our lives.
But you know what? Tampa still looks like themselves because it's a lot of
Tampa has an absolute embarrassment of riches in terms of
dude,
weapons.
lot of picks, lot of sacks. Pats have 0 offensive penalties so far this year. Look that up. Not penalties, 0. And the funny thing is, he hated how Belichick would throw him under the bus. He threw him under the bus in Deflategate. I know nothing about the footballs. Ask Tom. It's not my deal. And now he goes to Tampa, and Bruce Arians is already throwing him under the bus, saying, Brady threw that ball, not me. And it's classic. And horrible sports town, maybe top 5 horrible sports towns. The only reason why they're relevant right now is because of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Even though the Rays are good, no one cares. But yeah, I mean, Gronk just sucks, and I think he should have stayed retired. Brady's looking a little sloppy, but I think he can figure it out. And I say new offense, new system. It's going to take a little time, but I don't see Gronkowski bouncing back from these poor starts.
Gronk's not going to be a big time contributor this year in terms of stat sheet or anything.
No,
like
and
that.
Tom Brady's too competitive to just
Gronk's
bounce back.
Gronk's going to be a good locker room guy. He's a good guy to have around to mentor the likes of O.J. Howard, who's super talented up-and-coming tight end. Obviously, there's maybe nobody better to have mentor than Rob Gronkowski, but he's done. I mean, the guy's falling apart.
You know what? Tampa surrounded him with a fantasy football lineup like offense, and Brady's still bitching at the receivers. LaShawn McCoy botched one off his fingers in the end zone, and he gave him a look like he did to N'Keal Harry. And I know it's not completely on Brady, but I mean, it's just like if they have a bad season, like say they just go like 7-9 after all that hype, it's what he wanted, and I don't really feel bad for him.
No, I mean, and nobody should feel bad for him. Brady chose that life down in Tampa.
He knew
exactly what he was getting into. I mean,
he wanted to wear flip-flops in November. That's what he wanted to do.
And hey, if he's happy doing it, let the guy do it. I mean, Brady tormented me for years and years, so I'm happy he's gone, and that's all I really care about.
I bet I can see why. Like I said, it's not that he left. It's just how it happened. But yeah,
on to greener pastures, Georgie.
I know we got Cam Newton. I'm wearing a backup jersey.
Yeah.
And you know what? A lot of people bought Jimmy Garoppolo jerseys when he was the backup, who they traded away. I don't know if you guys knew that story. He wanted to trade Brady and also trade Gronk to the Lions for a bunch of picks. Gronk threatened retirement and said, I don't play for anyone else but Tom Brady. And then they got rid of Garoppolo, and Garoppolo went to the Super Bowl last year.
He's right.
So speaking of the 49ers, what's your surprise, James?
My surprise, it's hard to follow Connor Zach, to be honest, but my surprise is just how the Philadelphia Eagles still don't have it together, man. You win the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Things are great. Defense was solid. Run defense was solid. Offense was unstoppable. With Wentz in there especially, who was having an MVP season. How do we come to such a downward slope where we lose to the Washington football team? I mean, it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
I think you're underestimating the football team, man.
I mean, I could be, but it's a first-year coach and a second-year quarterback. Like, their defense is good, but, they kind of gave us the fucking hands, bro. We got smoked. So it's surprising to me with my own team how bad they are. I thought we would at least start 1-1 because the Rams is a tough matchup. But I'm honestly shocked that we're not 2-0 right now.
What do you guys do in terms of quarterback next week?
You got to ride the Wentz wagon. You got to ride the. I mean, he's terrible. I was the biggest Wentz guy my whole, his whole time in Philly. I said, Nick Foles, pack your bags, get out of here.
That was 100% the right decision.
Yeah, I know it was, but looking back on it, like, this guy Wentz is trash. Like, he has the excuse of not having good wide receivers, but he has probably the two best tight ends in the NFC East, if not the NFC. So he has people to throw to, but this guy is making terrible mistakes. 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions this year. He's afraid to run out of the pocket, which is what made him good in the first place. Like, he could extend the play, roll out and then throw a bomb to a receiver. But, like, he just doesn't show it anymore. He looks scared. My prediction is Jalen Hurts is going to get snaps this year. I'm thinking around, like, week 8, week 9. we'll see Jalen Hurts under center if the Eagles don't at least are not 500 at that point.
So they drafted him for a reason, right? Maybe they saw this coming, but James, do you think he's afraid to run anymore because he's just had bad injuries?
I think he's afraid to run because that's in the back of his mind. Every news source for sports is saying Carson Wentz injury prone. Carson Wentz gets hurt. When he really got knocked out by Clowney by an illegal hit, that was even flagged on the play. He's had a tough run at things, but I think that's in the back of his mind. And also, I think the ownership and the GMs are talking to him, saying, we need you healthy. Do what you can to stay healthy, and that translates in his mind to being a pocket passer, which he's not. He's 6'5", 200 whatever pounds. He's a massive guy, and when he runs, he's at his best. So, I don't know. I think he's afraid. I think he's afraid to run because the organization, and it's just in the back of his mind that he's injury prone.
Do you think you guys are going to use Jalen Hurts in a traditional quarterback sense, or more of like a Taysom Hill kind of role?
So he got snaps last week. He had a couple snaps, wasn't involved. He might have had one run. I'm not entirely sure. But I think my prediction is that Jalen Hurts will be under center at least for a few games this year. If it's because of injury, maybe, or performance, I think it's going to happen because Philly's not a place you can lose 4 games in a row and have the same team on the field every week. So something's going to have to change up. And if they don't win against the Bengals this week, that we'll start seeing some changes.
They should beat the Bengals. I know Burrow's been playing well, but
we should have beat the Washington football team. We should have beat the Rams at home. We should have beat everyone. If they don't beat the Bengals, there might be honestly riots in the city of Philadelphia. It's honestly
that's what I'm saying. You can't. It's like you look up the best players in that game, and most of them just play for the Eagles. And come on, it's Cincinnati. It's Cincinnati. So, James, you asked that question in our Instagram. So I do think that he will play. I think they drafted him for a reason to use him, and I think if they lose, he'll get in. But if they win a couple of games, I think give it to like between week 6 and week 8 if he sees time. But I think this is the perfect time to make that decision because it's the Bengals, and if you lose, I think you have to make changes, like you said. But hey, if they do get over the hump and beat the Bengals, and it's a good win, and the team looks good, hey, you build from there. So I think it's actually a good opponent to make that decision because, like, if they got blown out by the Seahawks at home or the Chiefs, it's like, hey, it's one of the best teams in the NFL. But if you lose, that's really embarrassing, and you said it, you have to make changes.
Yeah, and I think this week against the Bengals, mark my word on this, get this on record, Miles Sanders is going to have a career day. The Bengals' rush defense is suspect at least. They're trash. They have no one on defense, and our run offense is good. So feed Miles Sanders the ball. Don't let Wentz throw it because he's trash. And mark my words, Miles Sanders is going to have a career day. Yeah,
so we'll start our picks. We'll start with that game. Les, I think you got the Eagles winning. I got them winning. Connor, about yourself.
Who's the Eagles? Who again?
Eagles,
Bengals.
Cincinnati.
I'm going Birds. I think they turn it around here. I think Wentz shows what he's all about.
Okay, so we'll start off with the first game. 49ers and the Giants. Both teams suffered big injuries. Is Garoppolo playing?
I think he's supposed to play, but
I
they
got the
lost.
40.
I mean, 2 of their obviously Nick Bosa and Solomon Thomas. I believe Richie Sherman is still out as well.
Who's their backup? Is it Colt McCoy?
No, it's what's his name? Nick Mullins.
Okay, but I still think that can beat the Giants. I mean, no Saquon. That team's who knows how many guys checked out, and it's like I think when Brady blew out his ACL, I think that first game the team really wasn't there mentally, and it's hard to.
Yeah.
But I'll also go with the 49ers.
I'll go 49ers too. Giants are obviously missing their biggest weapon by far.
Yeah.
They haven't really shown you much this year. Even though the Niners are pretty banged up, I'm going Niners.
So
at that point you got to go with coaching. And who is the coach? I see Jason Garrett on the sideline. Is he the coach of the Giants?
No,
he's
not.
He's the O coordinator.
Which is so weird seeing. I hate seeing it.
The Giants head coach is Joe Judge, the former wide receivers coach of the Patriots.
That team's. It's honestly an embarrassment. The fact that they're going to take the field is already telling me that they're going to take an L. With no Saquon, it doesn't even matter. Fully healthy Giants and banged up 49ers, I'd still pick 49ers. So
It's
49ers
just so
by
much
a million.
easier to game plan for the Giants offense. Like if you're a D coordinator and the Giants are without Saquon, like I mean,
No, you jam them at the
so easy.
the line and bump and
you
run.
bring
Danny
the house.
Dimes-
You bring
Danny
the
Dimes is
house
trash.
on Danny Dopes all day long and make him throw the ball, and he's not that good.
I got within feet of Danny Dimes last fall in Providence, actually. Small story.
You should have sucker punched him.
So what I did was they all stay at the Omni Hotel next to the mall. So I went to the Omni 4 hours before the game and waited outside, and I watched them get on the bus.
Yeah, they. I think a lot of NFL teams stay in Providence when they play the Pats.
No,
when we were there, I saw the Jacksonville Jaguars on Federal Hill.
Yeah, so the reason why is because Gillette to Providence is 20 minutes and Boston Gillette's 45. So, and Providence is a bit more low key, and they're not going to bump into people who'll give them shit. And
Go Friars, baby.
Yeah, go Friars. And last year when the Patriots hosted the Chiefs, I saw a few Chiefs players in the mall, but couldn't recognize who they were. Obviously, Mahomes is probably hiding in his suite.
Patty Mahomes is not cut out for the Providence Place Mall.
I have a funny story. So I went to the personal counseling center a lot in Providence, and my therapist, Jonathan, he's blind, and he was in the mall. He was in the CVS, right? And he accidentally bumped into this guy. And the guy was like, "Oh, watch where you're going." And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bump into you." And he's like, "What's your name?" And the guy said, "You don't know my name?" And he said, "I'm sorry, I'm blind." And it was Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh, my God.
Big Ben, baby.
Of course, Big Ben scumbag is like
Big Ben.
fucking up a
Big
blind
Ben,
guy.
my starting quarterback in fantasy now. Officially
Oh, no,
promoted as of this week.
Yeah, it's funny. But yeah, I mean, they all stay there. People want. I'm sure it'll be even more security this year because of COVID. But so intriguing matchup. The team we talked about the most tonight as a trio, the Washington football team versus the Cleveland Browns, who just beat the Bengals. That's an intriguing matchup.
What's the line on that?
I'll get it up.
I feel like the Browns have to be favored, right? By 2 at least?
Yeah, I would guess the Browns are probably a couple-point favorites. I would go with the Washington football team, dude, honestly. I do not think the Browns are cut out for success.
Browns are 7-point favorites.
Seven?
That seems like a lot.
Oh, I'm hammering.
I would have guessed like 4 or 5. The football team, it seems like they're kind of on the up and up, whereas the Browns, I mean, how long have they had at this point to put it all together, and they just haven't been able to do it? They're really running out of time with all the weapons they've accumulated. I mean, I don't know. I'm going football team.
Yeah, I'm in on that too. Like, I was watching the Barstool podcast the other day about sports betting, and like the Browns are favored by 6. And like Portnoy said, which made so much sense, he says, you've got to think about it. You're laying 6 on the Browns. In this case, you'd be laying 7 on the Browns.
Yeah.
That team is not good. I think they'll lose straight up, honestly. Like the football team, well coached, good defense, pressure Baker Mayfield. He's fat, slow, can't make a throw on the run. They got the weapons for it, but like their coach is terrible. Organization's horrible. Yeah, I'll take this football team in that one.
All right, so I'm going against you guys. I'm going with the Browns because I know we're like giving them all compliments, and they got Nick Young and Dwayne Haskins, but they're still the Washington Redskins from last year roster-wise. Adding
yeah,
Chase
but
Young.
the Browns are still the Browns too.
No, the Browns are the Browns, meaning they won't be good, but they can beat that team from last year. They got Chubb. They got Odell. They got Jarvis Landry. I'm not saying the Browns are good, but they can beat them. Like, I don't know.
Browns are a sorry franchise, Georgie.
And what is the Washington football team?
It's a new beginning, bro.
But yeah, wait, what was the team last year? Was it a good
They
franchise?
have a new coach. They got a new coach. He's a good coach. Ron Rivera's a good coach.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next game. Pats, Raiders. I got the Pats.
Who's home?
It's in New England.
Cross
Cross-country flight. Cross-country flight on a short week.
I don't know, man. You're right there. Yeah, Belichick takes that one. You're right. Belichick's going to take that one.
I know Gillette's not what it is this year because there's no Brady and, there's no crowd, but it's you still got to go through Belichick and, like I say, cross-country flight.
Yeah.
And
You don't go through Brady. It was all Belichick all along, man.
I'm going to cut against the grain here. I'm going to go Raiders, keeping the momentum going from their short week. Pat's coming off a loss. I don't know. I think Gruden might be, he might be up to something over there in Vegas.
So maybe it's like the Washington football team because it's a new name and a new feel.
Yeah, they got a kind of a fresh look right now. I think Vegas, purely off the fact that they're coming off a win, Pat's coming off a loss. Vegas can be staring down the barrel of a 3-0 start right here. I think it's be a very hotly fought game, really close in the end. Probably go back and forth a little bit. I do think Vegas might come out on top though.
Okay, so Atlanta and Chicago. Chicago's gone off to a hot start. Improbable comeback against the Lions, even though it's the Lions, they were still down. And had impressive plays by Mitch Trubisky, who I think is playing better than people expected him. I know. Yeah, they didn't pick him they picked the wrong guy, number 2, but maybe Mahomes wasn't right for their system. And maybe they didn't see that he was going to be potentially the next best guy. I mean, and I don't think the time is over on Mitch Trubisky. I mean, like it's only his third year, and he can still play well. But
third, fourth. Yeah,
2017. Yeah, but it's not. He got them to the playoffs, and the kicker messed up that one game, and I don't think
he's my favorite day.
I think he's an average quarterback, can be better. And
who you picking?
I think Mitch. Yeah, go ahead.
I got the Falcons.
Okay.
I know I think Julio's going to go off after that choke job loss. Just like the Super Bowl. Not the circumstances, obviously, but I just see them bouncing back, and I think Matt Ryan, that offense can coach circles around them.
I'm gonna go Bears here. I don't see any way the Falcons can coach circles around anyone. I mean, Dan Quinn may very well be the second worst coach in the league after Adam Gase. I mean, the guy just loves to give up 20-plus point leads. And I agree with you. I do not think Mitch Trubisky is as bad as people say he is. I don't think his ceiling is very high. I think his ceiling is probably the likes of an Alex Smith, where he's going to be a kind of game manager where you can trot him out there. He's not going to lose you a game, but he's 100% not capable of going out there and winning one on his own.
Yeah, I agree. Guys, I'll be right back. I just got to use the restroom. I'll edit it out. You guys can just talk.
All right, cool. He might bounce around a little bit. But, yeah, I'm going to go Bears.
Georgie's taking shit.
He should and fart and piss.
I forgot you can't curse on this.
Yeah, dude, I texted you, bro.
I know. I have my messages off. I forgot completely. Oh well, he's got to put the bleeps in. What, are you going to your bed?
I lose my AirPod case.
You lost your AirPod case?
This is somewhere. I didn't know.
Oh.
Nah, for real, bro. Where is this shit? Oh, I had it. Bro, I legit had this shit. Put it fucking somewhere. God damn it.
What happened?
Stop being rich, Connor. Stop being rich.
Yeah, I'll just purchase another pair.
Yeah.
You see Denver lost?
Uh-huh.
It's 3-1 now. Let's go.
What was the score?
They lost by 6.
Georgie, what's up with your Heat or your Celtics, bro? They're getting their cheeks clapped.
So the thing that really drives me nuts is that there are the more talented team and more experience. Jimmy Butler – Iggy has a ring and Spo has rings, but, like, they're not the guys that make the winning plays in this series. Like, we have Tatum, 2 conference finals. Smart, this is his 3rd. Brown, it's his 2nd. And, like, there's just no excuse because, like, 2 years ago when they lost to Cleveland, we didn't have Gordon and Kyrie, right? Last year, we had them back. They lose. And it's like, okay, Kyrie was an asshole and Gordon didn't recover. There's no excuse this year. Kyrie's gone. This is Gordon's 2nd year off the injury. They just choked. And, I think if they win tomorrow, it's possible, but I don't think they're going to come back. And I don't think they should blow up the team, but I think if they –
You don't blow up that team. It's just
No.
I think
you
make changes. A better team.
Make changes. I think KD and Kyrie are going to be something next year. I think Giannis is going to come back engaged. Sixers can come back. Toronto's going to get better. And I just think, like, it's not good enough. And, yeah, maybe they're not, ready enough to win the championship, but
put up a fight.
They should win the East.
Brad Stevens can't get over the hump, man.
Dude, it's not him. These guys are – I'm saying it's on the players.
It's proven, though. It's his 3rd Eastern Conference Finals, and he's going to lose again.
So I think it's on him because the players can't decide whose team it is. Watch the Heat, dude. The Celtics are fighting over whose team it is. And Tatum doesn't get his shots, or Brown. Brown has to talk about it with the coach. Gordon Dragic was the hero in Game 2. Jimmy Butler didn't give a fuck. Jimmy Butler.
Gordon Rodgers is so bad.
Yeah, but dude, Jimmy Butler had the least amount of points. He didn't care.
Yeah.
There's no egos in that team, and that's why they're winning.
Let's get back to football.
All right, so
edit this shit out.
Bills versus the Rams. That's a good game.
I'll take it. I guess I'll go first.
Go.
Yeah, we're gonna take the Rams here. They're good. I think McVay's back to his old self. He kind of had a little Super Bowl hangover last year a little bit. Watching them play us last week, like, they're solid. Like, the media also, like, is sucking off Aaron Donald a little too much. Obviously, he's going to get a double team assignment. He's one of the best, if not the best player in the league position-wise. But I just think, they're a good team. And the Bills are a young team. Josh Allen's, he's solid. Like, they always say he's a big arm. He can run. But I don't think he can beat a well-coached team like that, especially on the defensive side of the ball when there's going to be pressure in his face.
Yeah, I think the Rams. My God, though, did you guys see that body slam that Josh Allen had? I know that's like –
Yes.
I know it was overhyped a lot, but it was an impressive play. Like, you don't see that from a quarterback often. I think the Rams are just a more talented team. I think Goff's back. I don't know. You guys know he's a top 15 most paid salary-wise athlete on the planet, right?
Yeah, he got paid, man.
Goff,
number one pick.
Goff got a big check.
Top 15. It's crazy. But yeah, Rams.
I'm gonna go Bills.
Got Bills.
As much as it pains me to say, I saw what the Bills did to the Jets week 1. I'm not saying the Jets are good by any means, but they are incredibly solid on both sides of the ball. Josh Allen, he has improved. I don't think through arm talent-wise he's still very good, but I think his unexpected athleticism allows him, that extra half second he needs to make a halfway decent throw. I mean, the guy still misses wide open receivers. I don't know if you guys saw.
I know you can't hit the ocean.
Week 1, I mean, there was a guy that was wide open because the Jets defense is horrendous literally in the end zone. Josh Allen from the 5-yard line overthrows the guy by probably about 15 yards. I mean, he couldn't, like you said, George, the guy couldn't hit the ocean view, stand on the beach, but I mean, he can run. And he's a game manager. I think the Bills are good enough on defense to pull it out.
Okay,
I don't think Jared Goff is good at all either.
No, he's top 15 paid athlete in the world. A joke. He hasn't won anything. He hasn't really accomplished anything, even if you push aside that Super Bowl. So,
yeah.
Chargers, Panthers. I got the Chargers. I think Justin Herbert showed a lot of promise after last week's game against the Chiefs. And I don't know if you saw the story about Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah.
His doctor accidentally punctured his lung. Me and my friends were joking about that. Perhaps the doctor was our principal from high school who had his doctorate and always said, "You have to call me doctor," even though he's not a doctor. But, yeah, I just think what I saw from Justin Herbert last week will transcend. And it is amazing he played that way as a rookie, new stadium, and he didn't have a lot of time notice on his hand. You know, he was preparing that. I don't know his work ethic, but I'm assuming that he was preparing like he was the backup for the most part. You know, obviously you got to be ready if they call your name, but he didn't anticipate the play, and they told him, you know, right before the game you're playing, and I think that deserves recognition. And I think that'll carry over, and I got the Chargers over the Panthers.
I'm going Chargers too. One of my good friends, Reed, is he's from San Diego, lifelong Chargers fan. Justin Herbert showed what he's all about last week. Kid's going to be good.
Yeah, rightfully so. High pick, right?
Solid player. You know, he, like you said, he found out he was starting about 2 minutes before he had to step on the field. And I honestly think that might be a good way to go about it. You know, he didn't have time to kind of worry. He didn't have time to get nervous. It was just like, listen, kid, you're playing, you're doing something you've done your entire life. Go out there and play football, throw the ball around, and he was damn good at it.
Yeah, I'll take the Chargers too. Don't know what you say about this one, but I did like what I saw from Herbert last week. You know, they competed with the Chiefs, almost won that game. Panthers without McCaffrey, hard to pick on them. You know, they don't have many options here. So, yeah, I'm on the Chargers train. Yeah,
and Bridgewater's also still trying to, learn that system game-wise. I mean, he's still getting used to it. And throwing to McCaffrey to bail you out. So, Connor, we got your team, the Jets and the Colts. And I'm just saying this because I think every week you have to have an upset, and I think they can beat the Colts. I think they're going to beat the Colts. It's just I know you're going to say because the coach is the worst coach to ever come through New York sports, maybe all of sports. But I just have to have an upset in every week where I pick, and I'm just picking that game.
Buzz, you can go ahead on
Georgie, I was actually going to pick the same. I'm on Gang Green this week. I'm not sold on Phillip Rivers. They lost Marlon Mack as well. They're well coached. Frank Reich's a good coach, but this might be just one of those games where, like, Connor, you could probably attest to it. It's like you sold out on the team this year, and then they just turn around and win a game that you would never expect them to win. I think this is going to be one of those games where, like, we see the Jets reach their potential, win a game, maybe by a touchdown or 10 points or 2 touchdowns. And then the next week they turn around and get that blown out. But I think this is one of those games where they win.
You know what's crazy about the Colts is that they could have had Brady. Do you guys remember this, right? I don't know if you read about it as much because, like, I was reading it every day because I was at, NBC Sports interning and just had access to all the articles and the insiders that worked there and what they knew. But they kept saying, don't sleep on Indy. And they decided, no, we're going with Phillip Rivers. And do you think they really fucked it up on that one? I know Tom Brady wouldn't have wanted to move to Indy, especially where it was his rival, and it's not the best city to build a brand. But what is Tampa? But do you think Indy botched that one?
I think Brady chose where he wanted to go, dude. Brady saw the package, the weather, the longevity in Florida.
Yeah.
Why go to Indy for 2 years when you can go to Tampa? It's not like Indy was like a world beater in terms of their roster. Like,
yeah, that's true. And Tampa does, he can once he retires, just be there. Retire in Florida. Retire in Florida like a normal person, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he has old bones, George. You got to remember that. He's old, and when you have arthritis, your joints are hurting, and the warm weather is good for it. So, he's down there. He's warm, thank goodness. He probably has heated floors in his house. He has a lot of miles on his feet. So I think it was a good call for him to go to Tampa Bay.
All right, so we got Seahawks and the Cowboys. I got the Seahawks. Les,
Oh wait, I didn't make my pick.
My mistake. Sorry, Mr. Jets. My bad.
I appreciate you guys both taking the Jets, and I don't know if that's an effort to make fun of me or anything like that. But
Connor, I need an upset.
I'll tell you right now, the Jets are not going to beat the Colts. It's not going to happen. We stink. We're bad. We're not going to win a game this year. The only game we might win is our classic Miami split. Like I said, the Colts are going to beat us this week.
Connor, if the coach
The only
goes
way
to
is if Denzel Mims, who was our second-round draft pick, who hasn't played a game yet and is on the IR at the minute, comes back and is really, really good, which is definitely possible because he's a very talented player. He's a big, strong receiver, good hands. But other than that, I don't see where we get wins from.
Connor, I'm just saying if Adam Gates somehow goes through the whole season and doesn't get fired, it's not his job. That rant needs to be shared because that was just big time. That was better than anything I've seen Skip or Shannon Sharp or Stephen A.
George, if Adam Gase makes it past, if Adam Gase makes it the whole year, I will make that rant that I had today seem like child's play.
Okay, fine. The rant's somehow going to have to
you can put that out there. You can clip that and put that out there if you want. I'm telling you right now, if Adam Gase does not get fired before season's end, that will be nothing.
Okay.
Because I will.
We'll run it back. We'll just
and
then we'll compare. We'll do week 3.
There you go. Do a little side to side.
So we got the Seahawks and the Cowboys. Obviously, Cowboys had the impressive comeback over the Falcons, whether you like the team or not. Seahawks looked good against the Patriots. I thought they should have beat them by more, to be honest. I thought Cam was going to get smoked against the Seahawks. Seems like it's always a chess match between Brady and Pete Carroll, with Pete Carroll shitting the bed sometimes in the game, like throwing deep balls on 3rd and 1. Seahawks over the Cowboys, better team. If you have to come back against the Atlanta Falcons and barely squeak it out, you're not going to beat the Seahawks.
I'm with that. You'll never catch me picking the Cowboys, so I'm on the Seahawks.
12th man's taking this one.
There we go. So, Bucks versus the Broncos, and this is interesting because this is the worst place. So, Brady always had 3 kryptonites: the New York Giants in the Super Bowl, Joe Flacco at home in the playoffs, and at Denver. Denver doesn't have that elite defense like with Von Miller because he's out. It's a bad team. They don't have Peyton Manning. Or even some of those good teams that he faced in their career. It's a bad team. There's even no crowd. So even though Brady's had his struggles there, I think he will play well because he knows he needs to play better. So I got the Bucks over the Broncos. I think the Bucks are just a more talented team, and it'll show this week. And I don't think Brady has these demons that he has typically when he's in Denver.
Yeah, I'm on TV12 as well this game. Broncos are banked up. Is it in Mile High? Do you know?
Yeah, it's Mile High. Denver just brought in a new quarterback.
Yeah, so they got a new quarterback as well. I mean, Blake Bortles, my gosh. Yeah, there's no chance they win this game. Bucks got it.
Yeah, Drew Lock is actually pretty good, but he's out. So
hey, remember, Blake Bortles was 5 minutes away from beating Tom Brady in the AFC title game. So who knows what he can have up his sleeve.
They would have gotten worked by the Eagles regardless. So it didn't matter who won that game.
There we go. So, Connor, you got the Bucks?
Yeah.
All right. I think this is going to be a great game. I actually forgot what time it's at because it's like they have the Fox game of the week or CBS game of the week. But I think the Packers always typically play on Fox. I just never seen them on CBS. So I assume this is the game of the week. I got the Packers over the Saints. I think the Saints have looked a bit too dysfunctional. I know it's in New Orleans, and I think if there was a crowd, I would pick the Saints at home because it's just a hard place to play. I think Aaron Rodgers is on a roll right now. I think, I always think he's kind of a bitchy quarterback and kind of makes it all about him. But I would think he's starting out well this year. And I think the Saints haven't figured it out yet. If this was middle of the season, the Saints were playing like the Saints, I'd pick the Saints. But I think Packers just have it more than them right now.
I
Aaron
think
Rodgers' revenge tour continues. He wins.
I'm against you guys. I got the Saints here. I think they got a bad taste in their mouth in that last game in the Death Star. You can't pick Drew Brees to lose twice in a row, especially early in the season. They're going to get it together. They're going to win this game.
Connor, what's the revenge tour? What's he revenging?
They picked a quarterback in the first round.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. What's his name? The guy from
Jordan
Love.
All right. Last game, I think Ravens over the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs showed some vulnerability against the Chargers. And I think Baltimore is just the best team in the NFL right now. So I'm just going to go with the Ravens. I don't know where it is. I think it's in Kansas City. Maybe they'll have a crowd. And I don't know if you read about the Chiefs game. Apparently one guy got like 30 people sick at the Chiefs game with coronavirus.
Of course. Can't make this stuff up.
And the other stadium they're going to host fans is Jacksonville, which is even worse.
I got for this game. Is that Monday night or Sunday night? What is that?
Let me look for you, Les.
It's got to be prime time for sure. I mean, I think that you can't be convinced to get the Super Bowl champs. Yeah, they had a little down week. I think they were looking past the Chargers a little bit, probably looking on to that Baltimore game. But Patrick Mahomes, man, what else can you say about the guy? They have so many weapons on offense. I know Lamar Jackson's a stud. It's hard to pick against him, but I just think Coach Reed, Coach Harbaugh used to coach under Andy Reid in Philly, who's a special teams coach. He just has his number. He knows what he's going to do before he even does it. So I'll take the Chiefs, man. Super Bowl chance. They got it.
It's a Monday night game, by the way, what you asked.
There you go. Prime time, baby.
This is a tough one. This is one of the toughest games, I think, in recent memory, honestly. You get the last two MVPs going against each other, two young quarterbacks. I think I'm going to go with the Ravens. I think they might just have a little bit more to prove. They got that little bit of extra juice trying to take out the defending champs. Whereas the Chiefs, they've been there, done that kind of thing. If it was the playoffs, I'd go Chiefs. But being that's week 3 regular season, I think the Ravens.
They're hungry to prove that what happened last year was a fluke, and they are out to prove something this year. I got the Ravens.
AirPods did.
Is this the AFC title game?
I hope so.
I hope so too.
It's what we wanted to see last year. I mean, I wanted to see obviously New England in it, but that average fan wanted this, and
The best teams by a lot, I think.
yeah, and probably the most star power, especially a quarterback. All right, so got our picks, got our surprises in this year, our teams, where they're at now. We got to go to the questions. There's only a few. This is someone I knew well from school. He was in McDermott freshman year, but he's still kind of in the crew that the guys I knew from first 4. His name's Connor Hayden, and this doesn't have to do anything with football. But he asked, why did I choose Zac Efron for the song last night instead of The Boys Are Back in Town?
Why not?
Maybe this is something that you guys can support, but it's like everyone else, not me, would have picked The Boys Are Back in Town. Mm-hmm. People caption that shit when they have reunions.
I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to refer Mr. Hayden over to our good friend of the program, Mr. Graham Munson, who is an avid Zac Efron fan. Zac Efron, he's a good dude. He's a homie.
He's a homie,
Let's
bro.
answer this one. Why would you not choose that if it comes up?
Well, no, I'm just saying when guys have reunions or at school when they're back for the year, they're like, "Oh, the boys are back in town," and it's the same shit every time. No one says the boys are back, and this show is about originality, right? Like, and of content. And
Yeah.
I
I'll
don't
tell
do
you
what
why you
other
did,
people.
George.
I don't do what
I'll tell
other
you why
people
you
do.
did it. You did it because Zac Efron's handsome. You don't have to explain it to me.
I'm
man.
doing
I
it
got you.
because no one else does it. The normal show would have done the boys are back in town. So I hope that answers the question. So I think we covered will Jalen Hurts start
Yeah.
some point.
Yep.
All right. So this one's from biggest Cowboy fan in Guzman Hall, Mr. Austin Nasca.
Woohoo!
He asks, Dak, Wentz, and Goff, who has the brightest future?
Goff is in way ahead.
Yep.
For this year, I would have went Wentz first, Dak second, but I don't know. It's Wentz is pretty bad this year. So I'll go Goff in third by a mile, and then Wentz probably second, and Dak I would say has the brightest future at the minute.
It hurts me so hard to hear, and it hurts me to answer this question. So I'm gonna rewind to 2 weeks, and I'm gonna envision you ask me the same question. So I'm gonna tell you, Wentz is a far better quarterback than Dak Prescott. Stats show, he's better. He's a better passer. Ask anyone with a brain and a head on their shoulders. He's a better quarterback. Dak wants more money. He needs a great running back. He has one of the best receivers in the NFC. Amari Cooper. Offensive line has been solid for 5 years. It's not hard for him. Like I said with the Pats offense, I could be throwing for the Cowboys and be probably the best player in the league. So Wentz, he's got intangibles. He has a winning spirit.
You're Uncle Rico right now.
Wentz has had an MVP season that was robbed from him by Tom Brady. He had the best season in 2017 before he got hurt. He's a way better quarterback, and I'm going to go Dak second and Goff a close third between him and Dak.
All right, so if you asked me this when Wentz was in his MVP season before he got hurt, I would say Wentz in a heartbeat because Dak Prescott shit his pants in the playoffs the first year. We all know that. That year when everyone was saying the Cowboys are going to go far, Cowboys are always going to figure out a way to lose. But I think Wentz is the better player, and I think if you put Wentz in Dallas's shoes, he goes farther. But I'm saying that I think Dak has a brighter future because he has those better weapons like Amari Cooper, like CeeDee Lamb, like the offensive line. He's got a new coach. Even though the Cowboys still look like the same team, they got Mike McCarthy, who's a proven Super Bowl winner. But I think Wentz is the best player. But I'm saying in terms of his best future, I'm going Dak because he has the better thing around him. I think he's got a good thing going for him in terms of what's around him. But if you told me who's going to get what Dak has in Dallas and who would be the best, I think it's Wentz in a heartbeat. And I don't think it's time to close on Jared Goff. I think we'll see after this year because a lot of teams get rattled after losing in the Super Bowl. He can still be good. Can you win a Super Bowl? I don't think so, but I think we kind of know what's going to happen with Dak and Wentz right now, but I don't know. I'm not done with Goff.
Why don't they pay Dak then? If he's better, I don't get it. They don't want to pay him.
Talk to Jerry.
Eagles committed to Wentz easily. They didn't even ask questions. They said, "Here's a briefcase of $100 million. Take it and walk away." And Dak's asking for a contract, and they're saying no. I'm just saying, bro. I just observe things.
Do they pay Romo?
Yeah.
Probably. The guy's a legend.
Yeah, I don't know. Ask Jerry. It doesn't make sense to me, but isn't he asking to be paid like the highest paid quarterback in the NFL?
Yeah, that's what you got to get. He wants that money though. Like
$40 million a year.
He doesn't deserve that. He doesn't deserve to be the highest paid quarterback. Maybe top 10, not top 5.
Yeah, but you think about it, like he'll sign that contract, he'll play for a year, and then someone else will get a fatter contract the year after. They should have been smart and locked him in earlier, but Jerry Jones is a big doofus, so he didn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think he deserves a big contract because he has a big ceiling, and the team is very well supported around him. They've really built a good team, and they have a good coach now. I don't think there's any more excuses, but we'll see. And the last question, how much does Les bench? So I want to see if you can, because you had some bad guesses. What are the 3 guesses of who asked this? Like, really think
Bro,
about
like Guzman, 3rd floor. That's a blur, man. It's so long ago. Was it Matt Hunt?
No.
I honestly, like, you give me a hint, man. I'm not gonna get it. My brain's fried.
It was McShane.
Oh, I always forgot he lived across the hall from me, to be honest. McShane, I bench. Here's the number amount. It's more than you. There you go, buddy.
He's more on the biceps. He's not. He doesn't really.
I always tell him. I would always see him in the gym, and I saw him doing these pathetic workouts, and I'm like, man, never sacrifice weight for form. But he always sacrificed weight.
I'm telling you, I've got deep-rooted New York roots here. I lived here my entire life. There's word on the street, McShane's got the biggest biceps in Manhattan at the moment.
Bro, have you seen the guy recently? He looks like a gust of wind could take him away like a tumbleweed, bro. He's so small now. He just dropped all this weight. I'm worried about the kid, to be honest. Connor, if you're watching, talk to me.
Watch, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't bench a lot, but I'm not walking around like I do.
Get on the press, Georgie. The press is calling your name.
Yeah, let me just
you can try out for the Pats afterwards.
The gym opens at 6 a.m. I'll be there.
The diet starts Monday.
Diet starts every day. Then it ends at noon at lunch when I drive around town and see the restaurants around me.
When you get the Travis Scott burger.
Dude, I thought that like people would be talking about how that would help the stock of McDonald's, and it just doesn't.
Stunk.
But yeah, this was fun. We'll see what happens with our results. Thanks for watching.
Thanks so
guys.
much.